Hey everyone. It has been a long 3 days, but as of recording this video, I'm happy to say that I have successfully beat all of the Duck Life games that I wanted to. Duck Life 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, I kind of mentioned it a little bit during each playthrough, especially during like the earlier games, but the gameplay loop for all of the games is really similar. It's pretty much unchanged. There's like a running minigame, a swimming minigame, and a flying minigame. That's pretty standard, and all of them function somewhat the same. So why not, rank them all in the tier list? I have all 34 training games across Duck Life's 1 through 4, and yeah, I figured that I should probably take some time and rank them. Let's start with Duck Life 1 here. These first three are from Duck Life 1. My camera's blocking it. And you also can't see my cursor. Alright. Great start to the video so far. Also, I apologize for the browser being littered with ads. That's nothing that I really can control. But nonetheless, yeah, let's just go with it. So let's just do Duck Life 1 here. We'll start with running. My original placement of running is a C tier, but I'm thinking about how it's done in the other games. And you know what? Everything in Duck Life 1 really sets the standard for the series as a whole. Also, I'm thinking about it too, compared to all the other running games, in Duck Life 2 and Duck Life 3. I know Duck Life 2 really botched the running minigame, so I figure I should give this one some grace. I'm thinking a solid A tier for Duck Life 1 running. As for Duck Life 1 swimming, this pretty much also sets the foundation for it. Not really much is unchanged here, across all the games. So I'm thinking a B tier maybe for Duck Life 1 swimming. Again, that might change. Maybe a B or a C. This swimming minigame in Duck Life 1 is really bare bones. There's not much going on here. I do remember that. Though I do remember the double jump glitch is present in this one, but that's not really saying much considering the double jump glitch is present in every swimming minigame in Duck Life. But yeah, let's just keep it at C for now. On to flying. Flying also really sets the standard. Nothing really special about this one. Nothing too flashy. I'm thinking also a C for this one. But is it better or worse than swimming? Granted, it's less buggy, definitely, than swimming. Me personally, I like the swimming minigame more. There's just I don't want to say it's more involved, but there's more to pay attention to, and there's a lot more gameplay features. So yeah. If I recall correctly, this also uses left and right to go up and down, at least for the flying minigame, which is kind of counterintuitive if you think about it. It works, but it's not the best flying minigame in the whole series as a whole. Let's go into Duck Life 2 now. Duck Life 2's running minigame, I'm thinking here's the thing about this one. Sure, it introduced a lot more variables to keep track of, which I do like. This is the first time the running minigame has introduced the 3 types of obstacles that you can jump over. I talked about it in the playthrough. There were single blocks, single balls, and then 2 balls being sent at the same time at different speeds, and then 2 balls being sent at the same time with the same speed. Pretty cool, pretty innovative, but the one thing I really hate about this one is how low the jump is. Because in Duck Life 1, you go soaring, you go super high. But in Duck Life 2, you stay pretty close to the ground, so things get a little bit tight. Challenging, yes. Innovative, I don't really think so. So let's keep it at a, at C tier here. I also think this game belongs underneath the Duck Life 1 minigames too. So that's all figured out. As for swimming, I'm just gonna put it at B. Is there a gameplay difference between Duck Life 1 swimming minigame and Duck Life 2 swimming minigame? No, not really, but you can kind of see it in the frame here. It's a lot more prettier. You have a lot more things to look at, and everything is much more clean. Granted, that also comes with being the second installment in the series. He starts to do a lot more stuff with visuals and such, but I'd rather play a pretty game that functions the same than a less pretty game that functions the same. You know what I mean. On to flying now. Duck Life 2's flying. I'm just gonna put it at B for now before I like make a final decision. Duck Life 2's flying minigame is pretty interesting to say the least. This is the first time obstacles were introduced in the flying minigame as a whole, and I think this is a good addition to the flying minigame in general. In Duck Life 1, you just kind of like flew around without any thought. It was very, very open space. Now in Duck Life 2, you have to like actually think about where you're going and positioning, and yeah, you know what? I kind of like it. I kind of like this positioning here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep it like this. You can also start to see my preference towards swimming than flying. Newly added to Duck Life, also, at least Duck Life 2, is the climbing minigame. I don't really know where to put this. I'm gonna put it at C for now. I might put it above. Here's a question that now I have to answer. Did I like swimming more, or do I like swimming more or climbing more? Here's the thing. The tech that would later develop for the climbing minigame, like in Duck Life 4, wouldn't come up until like later in the series, obviously, in Duck Life 4. So I think this is, not only does it set the groundwork, it's pretty subpar at best. The groundwork is laid, but it hasn't been developed yet. So I think I'm going to keep it like this for now. Let's move on to Duck Life 3 now, it looks like. I'm trying to figure out where everything is. These next additions are definitely Duck Life, whatever, but okay. I understand how I labeled this now. So the way I organize these files, like by name, was obviously by series, but Duck Life 3 is the first game in the series to not have like a single minigame for the skill. In fact, Duck Life 3 Evolution actually branches out and does this like I think it's called a league system. As much as I hate League as in the game, this league system was actually pretty cool in that it allowed for more creativity with the training games. So let's talk about it. Starting off with the running minigame from Duck Life 3. This is S tier, I think at least, for a few reasons. Duck Life 4 doesn't actually have a traditional running game like this. It has the gameplay idea in the final section of the game, like the very, very final section of the game, but again, it's the final section of the game, and it only takes like 30 seconds to beat if you're a good player. I was not a good player, so it took me 2 minutes. Is that a little bit biased? Maybe, but a few things objectively that this Duck Life 3's first running game does phenomenally, just phenomenally about. First of all, you can jump on the boulders and rocks and circles that are coming your way. I mentioned that in my Duck Life 1 playthrough that I knew there was an entry in the series where you could start jumping on the blocks now, and turns out it was this one. The original jump height is also restored in Duck Life 3's running game. Instead of the short hops you were usually getting like Duck Life 2, you finally get the big full hops you would have in Duck Life 1. So not only is it more lenient, right? Not only is it more lenient with the jump heights, not only is a new feature added with the ability to basically like hop on the rocks. It's just more fun in general, I think at least. It flows really, really nicely. The three types of like obstacles are still there. The singles, the doubles at different intervals, and doubles at the same interval. Those are still in the game. And you also have a little speedometer here. Just for fun, you know. I don't really know why he added it, why the developer added it. There was really no need to do that, but it's there, and I think it's a good addition. This minigame does everything correctly in running. Now as for the second running minigame, which is here in Duck Life 3 Evolution, I don't really know how to feel about this one. You know? Yeah, maybe like maybe A tier, I guess. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'll save this one for later. I'll put it at the very bottom. I'll come back to it. I'll come back to it. And then for the final running minigame, which is right. Where is it? I might be missing a file. But Duck Life 3's final running game is super, super different. It is like the most different out of the whole series. Here it is. Okay, I found it. Here it is. You know what? I think that this one also has to be S tier. Just because of all the new mechanics. Actually, hang on. But it's not like the best. I'm thinking in my head. I'm trying to articulate my thoughts. I think this is a solid A tier. Very, very high A. But not quite S for a few reasons. This running minigame is probably the most unique. Hang on, let me fact check myself. Yep. This running minigame is the most unique in the whole series. Not only does it completely flip this gameplay loop of you just like running around and like, you know, jumping over these random obstacles. Now there's like slopes and like moai statues, and you're in this tropical area, and it's beautiful, and yeah, the whole like everything changes when it comes to this minigame. I'll tell you, playing this minigame, this third running minigame as a kid, brought me so much joy, and being able to replay it for this channel also brought me not as much joy, but still a lot of enjoyment. Is it as good as this one up here? Well, no, because Duck Life 3's first running minigame basically perfected it. But can I applaud the developer for trying out something new with this minigame? Absolutely. And on top of having pretty good gameplay, it looks phenomenal. Perfect. Almost perfect, anyway. I guess that places this running minigame, like, down here, I guess, at B tier, for a few reasons. Obviously, this is, like, the second running minigame in the league. Me, personally, it looks kind of ugly. It's just all grays and shades of gray. Now, granted, this does take place in a city. Why couldn't he have made the city, like, vibrant? Or brighter? I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I didn't find as much enjoyment out of this running minigame compared to the other two in Duck Life 3. I'm trying to think of where it belongs in B tier now. I guess I'll keep it here. I really did enjoy Duck Life 2's, these two minigames from Duck Life 2 over this one in Duck Life 3, but yeah, I think I'll keep it there. Yeah, alright, so it's looking pretty solid so far, I think. Where should we go next? We're still in Duck Life 3, but let's look at swimming next. Here is the first swimming minigame from Duck Life 3. Obviously, it looks even more stellar, compared to like Duck Life 1 and 2. But I'm thinking a solid A tier for this one. I also like this placement too. I think it belongs underneath Duck Life 1's running and Duck Life 3's running. But yeah, again, since it's a later installment in the series, everything looks so much prettier. I think this is the first time these like cruise ships were introduced too, which those were always a lot of fun to just like dip down and go underneath. The gameplay is still the same. You control it with the arrow keys. You can go back and forth and whatnot. Speedometer is also quite a nice addition, and yeah, I just think that this looks way better than Duck Life 2, to be honest with you. I guess like Duck Life 2 really took like a very cartoony approach with all of its designs and art styles, but Duck Life 3 just felt more serious in some way, as serious as a flash cam can get, right? But yeah, everything just looks way prettier in this game. Albeit the gameplay is still the same, I think the aesthetics and graphics take it for this one. This first minigame belongs in A tier. As for the second minigame, which is right... Oh my gosh, I keep losing my minigames. Right here, right? Basically the same thing, except it's just a little bit uglier. And I think for this reason, it belongs in B tier, maybe? Starting to reevaluate what I put down here in C tier. Okay, I'm gonna make some changes here. Maybe. I think that this Duck Life 2's running minigame goes in D tier. Yes, it was innovative, but I'm thinking about my experience now. I didn't really enjoy it as much as Duck Life 1's running. This minigame just, at least in my opinion, wasn't really fun. Yeah. You know, I guess for those reasons, a little harsh, but I'm gonna put Duck Life 3's swimming minigame in the second league down here too. Again, it's in the city. Everything looks gray and ugly and green, and I hate it, and it's ugly. Yeah. Can you tell I didn't really like the city that much? Could you tell? Could you tell? But yeah. I didn't really. Yes, it's swimming, and all the mechanics are still the same, but yeah, I guess I just really didn't really enjoy it that much. As for the third minigame in Duck Life 3 for swimming, this I think belongs in the highest A tier for a few reasons. This also completely breaks the gameplay, or completely flips it on its head compared to the other swimming minigames from the past two installments. You have a speedometer up here, of course, but not only that, the gameplay is just completely different. I mentioned it numerous times in my Duck Life 3 playthrough. It functions like the ship in Geometry Dash. You naturally sink down in this like cave area, and to swim upwards you just press a key and you go up. It's a big like balancing act, and basically you just trying to navigate this endless cave here. It's pretty cool. Very cool, actually. It's pretty cool. And yeah, it was innovative, it was new, and the best part, it functioned beautifully. Like, this was a great joy to play through. I was also very much surprised to see this because I completely forgot about it. Surprised me as a kid, surprised me as a somewhat adult, and yeah, I think it deserves a spot in A tier. As for flying, I don't really know. I'm gonna put Duck Life 3's flying in high B tier, or at least above Duck Life 2's flying. Everything looks cleaner, I guess. Doesn't look as cartoony. Everything looks nicer, and albeit the gameplay is still the same, you have a speedometer up here, which I think is kind of cool. As for the second league in Duck Life 2, again, this is the city, but it does look a little bit nicer than these other two city minigames. You actually have something other than green here. You have like some hints of blue and stuff with the buildings. I guess I can talk about how it is also new that instead of how you're like dodging stuff in the previous games, at least in Duck Life 2 and 3, you're actually going through stuff. Something new, yes, but is it very innovative? No, not really. You're still kind of like dodging stuff. If anything, it's more of a hindrance, and it makes things tighter for the player. But still a good minigame. I enjoyed it at least, so I think it belongs in B tier. After I complete Duck Life 3, I'll do some rearranging on the tier list, and we'll go from there. But first of all, let's clean up flying anyway. The third flying minigame is nowhere to be seen. It's right here. I think Duck Life 3's flying goes right here, above all the other flying minigames for a few reasons. You'll see that it incorporates, at least in this picture, it incorporates the similar gameplay like from the second league into like this third league minigame here, but it also has like these single like boulders and blocks too. It's not pictured in the thumbnail, but take my word when I say it's there, and if you don't believe me, go watch my playthrough of Duck Life 3. But nonetheless, it combines two aspects and basically cleans it up into this nice, pretty tropical area. Speedometer's up there, as per usual, but yeah, I think that I'm looking at the other mini games. You know what? I think I'm gonna do it. It's a huge jump. It really is a huge jump from going from B to S. But the reason I did that was because that this is, I think, the only other time this flying minigame shows up in the series. Well, hang on. There's obviously this installment here in Duck Life 4, but I'll talk about that later. I think that this is the best version of the traditional flying minigame anyway, in the Duck Life series, at least for 1 through 4. And yeah, I have no complaints really for this one. Everything looks pretty, it incorporates 2 of the gameplay aspects, and it refines everything. Perfect S, I think. Alright, let's tackle climbing really quick. I'm gonna put climbing right here for the Duck Life 3's climbing in the first league above Duck Life 2's climbing. It's ugly, it's gray, at least I'm talking about both of these at least. Both of these games are ugly and gray and there's really like no development here, but you know what? Speedometer is kind of cool, I guess. I wasn't really a fan of climbing ever. Really, I wasn't ever a fan of like these climbing mini games, but I did them and they were kind of fun. Did it really develop anything? No, not really. But yeah. I don't know. I'm talking about something that is pretty much self-explanatory. I guess this felt better and looks better than Duck Life 2. As for climbing in the second league, right here, I don't get to see that ugly gray skyline or city line anymore. So I think for that reason, I'm gonna put it above here, actually. Just because I don't have to look at the ugly skyline in the other 2 mini games, right? It's present in this one, it's present in this one, it's present in this one, but it's not present in this one. And I like that a lot. I like that a lot. So we're gonna leave it up here. It's pretty cool too that instead of like these edges here and like divots, I guess, in the cave, we're actually climbing up like a skyscraper. That's kind of cool. And instead of dodging those jagged edges, you're dodging like lights. I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. That's very, very creative. Much better than everything else that the dev tried to do in this game for the city part. I think it belongs in B tier. As for this final climbing one, yes, it's in the tropical area, so it's bound to look nice, but these ugly gray things are back, and if I recall correctly, there should be like lava on the bottom here. I don't really know why it's not there. I'm just gonna put it in C tier above these other 2. Yeah, it just looks better, but the gameplay is still the same. The ugly gray walls too are still present in all of these, so yeah. I think that is everything in Duck Life 3. So with that being said, let's quickly rearrange all of this really quick. I really like Duck Life 3's running minigame and Duck Life 3's flying minigames being up here. At least this first running minigame, this third final flying minigame up here too. This is good. This was like absolutely fresh. Something completely new to look at, and it executed it phenomenally, so I think it does still belong above Duck Life 1. This is good. Let's look at B tier and C tier here. Let's clean this up a little bit. I think I got a lot more enjoyment out of Duck Life 1's flying minigame than any of the climbing minigames. I just was not a big fan of climbing. At least this traditional climbing minigame here. So I think I kinda like this. I do agree with these being in D tier. I do agree with that. But as for B tier, here's the thing, B tier is like above C tier, right? But I'm just trying to think of like where I can move all this stuff. I guess Duck Life 2 can go in C tier as well. Well, here, hang on. If I'm gonna move Duck Life 2's flying minigame, I should at least consider Duck Life 3's second flying minigame. I would take this any other day over this, so I think I'm gonna move this down a peg. And you know what? can't remember if I enjoyed this minigame very much. Yes, it's different, but I think these like random like curbs, I guess, cause more of a problem. So I'm actually gonna move this down to, you know what? I'm looking at it. I don't think I remember this one very much. I guess I move it down to D tier, just because it's like, if it wasn't memorable for me, how could it be memorable for any other player? I don't know. That sounds selfish, but like, if I can't remember it, like after playing it after 3 days, then I can guarantee you nobody else really did either. Nothing really innovative here, so I guess I'm gonna leave it in D tier. I like how this looks a little bit more. You know what? I'm gonna move these up to C tier, actually. And I'm gonna move this here. And if this is the case, I'm going to have to make some arrangements because I like some of these mini games a lot more than others. Duck Life 2 is pretty, and I like swimming more. I mean, like, nah, let's keep it like this. Yes, I like the swimming mini games a little bit more, which should tell you that, like, oh, this swimming mini game belongs next. This Duck Life 1 swimming mini game should be above all the other flying mini games. But I don't hate flying. I just prefer not to play it. And when flying is done really well, like it has been in these two examples up here, it's actually a lot of fun. So yeah. Actually, hang on. I'm thinking about it now. This is what it looks like now. I just remember that Duck Life 2 had like a cap out system where you had to like play the game in order to like advance and do stuff. Which is fine, right? I mean, like, I'm not complaining, but my gripe with that was that in order to get more levels, in order to progress in the game, you had to pay for levels, which doesn't really make sense. Duck Life 3 and 4 did the capping system a lot better than the other ones. Also, Duck Life 4 didn't even have a capping system. It was just like, oh yeah, it's just gonna get longer and more tedious, so you might as well play. So go ahead and play and race, right? Nothing was stopping the player from maxing out their duck at the beginning. But if I'm trying to remember my playthrough, even I didn't max out my duck immediately. I very well could have, but it got boring after a little bit. All that to say, there are better ways to incentivize the player to not max out their duck immediately, as opposed to just like outright stopping them. So I like how this looks a lot better. With all that being said, let's quickly talk about Duck Life 4. Duck Life 4 completely broke everything you knew about training. Somewhat. Let's talk about it. For each skill here, Duck Life 4 introduced 3 different minigames for, you know, the 3 different... What am I even saying? Duck Life 4 introduced 3 different minigames for each of the skills. Each with some variation. We'll start with running, since that's the first one you start off with in the grassland area. There are names for them. Let me pull up the names really quick. This one is called Speed. This Duck Life 4 minigame right here, this one is called Speed. You go left and right, and you go down in the holes, and yeah, survive as long as you can. It's endurance, basically. I don't have any complaints about this one, actually. I think it goes in A tier. Yeah, I mean, just like, it's not the most efficient. It's like, but is it better than Duck Life 1? We'll put it here. We'll put it here for a few reasons. Yes, it's prettier. Yes, it's Duck Life 4, and I adore Duck Life 4. But it can get boring after a little bit. Now, can this one get boring too? Yes, but at least it's like classic. You can't really get bored of this gameplay loop. It gets kind of fun after a little bit. This one, yes, it's more involved, and sometimes the 50-50s where like there's a platform in the middle, and instead of like there being one hole right here, there are 2 holes on each side of the platform that you have to pick from. Those can get a little bit annoying sometimes. It's a good minigame, yes, but is it as good as Duck Life 1's running minigame? Hell no. Let's talk about the next running minigame. This is Endurance, I believe. It doesn't belong in... It is not in D tier. I'm just trying to check if the correct name in the other monitor, and it looks like it is. It is endurance. Endurance, I think, is more enjoyable than speed. Something completely new. You now have these blocks falling from the sky, and sometimes coins fall down too, and you can go left and right. You're not just limited to the screen space you have here. The screen also kind of scrolls a little bit. I think it's a lot more enjoyable than this. And you know what? Dare I say it's more enjoyable than Duck Life 1's running minigame. Just because. Just because. Yeah. I guess I like endurance way more than speed down here, and I also like it more than this one up here. But is it better than Duck Life 3? I'll leave it here for now. I'll go back to it later. Let's finish up Duck Life 1's running minigame with reactions. Easy S tier. This is such a good minigame. This is so good. I think it's actually up here too. This is the first Duck Life minigame in the series to introduce the number keys as a gameplay mechanic, and it executes them perfectly. You'll see that each obstacle has a number on it. You press that key, the corresponding key to the number, and you pass, and you survive as long as you can. The obstacles get more complicated as you go along. The speed does not increase, and I think that this minigame is arguably the best way to farm levels. So, yeah. I don't know, I just have a certain fondness to it, towards this minigame. I guess it's because I'm a rhythm game player. A video on that coming very, very soon. But, yeah. This minigame is god tier. It is wonderful. The best in the series? We'll have to see. Let's talk about swimming really quick. In Duck Life 4. Duck Life 4 swimming, at least for this one, it's swampy. It's in a swamp area. I think the literal area is called swamp. It is gray and dark and ugly, but at least it's not as ugly as this one down here, at least I think. And there are branches and alligators that you have to dodge, and the world building in this minigame is really, really nice. I'm gonna put this in A tier. Now I have to ask myself, was it better than Duck Life? Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna move it up here because of the music choices here. I haven't really talked about music that much either. We will talk about music in Duck Life 4 for a certain set of minigames. Some people might already know what that minigame is, that set of minigames is too, if they watch my second playthrough of Duck Life 4. Or part 2, anyway. But yeah, the music here is beautiful. Actually, it is pretty nice. And yeah, I don't know. It's very ambient. It's very soft. It's very loud for some reason. I don't know why it was that loud in the game. I had to turn it down on my end. But yeah, I think it's the music here that wins it over this. The speedometer is cool, but the music is cooler. Let's talk about this minigame too. Doesn't belong in A just yet, but I just want to put them side by side here to compare. This is the refined version of Duck Life 3 Evolution's final training game for swimming, and I think it's for this reason that it goes in A tier, at least above Duck Life 3. Yes, I enjoy it above all of these other minigames down here in the A tier, but I don't know, something about the swimming minigames in Duck Life 4 just get me so riled up. It is phenomenal, and it refines everything that Duck Life 3 did for this minigame better. So yeah, it belongs in A tier. Now, this minigame here is called Timing, and I think Timing also goes in S tier. It is a very short minigame. It should take 15 seconds max to beat, but it is very, very skill-based, kind of like this reactions minigame up here from Duck Life 4. You hold space to turn for a certain amount of time, and then you press space. Not that life-changing, but the way it's executed is incredibly well. Based on how you perform here, you can either it's a diving minigame basically. So you're like trying to get the max amount of depth you can in this minigame. So you have to like turn vertically, and you're trying to figure out like you're basically doing like trial and error, like when's the best time to press space, when's the best time to hold space, when is the best amount of time to hold space. Once you figure it out, it's a lot of fun. And it's not just playing through it with the knowledge that makes it a lot of fun. It's also doing the trial and error and, you know, doing that like testing process of seeing what's the most optimal way to beat this minigame. That's also a lot of fun. At least I enjoyed it on my end. This timing minigame is an S tier. Hands down. Let's talk about flying now from Duck Life 4. Flying, which is the first minigame right here from the flying section, in the mountains area. This one's called Endurance. This one's really jank. I think it is a very high C tier. The highest C tier. I don't hate this game. I don't like it. Like, I don't love it, I don't hate it, which is what I just said. But it's kind of cool. I mean, like, you're going upwards, and this time you use left and right to actually go left and right. You know, like the directions imply. But, yeah. You get levels based off of, like, how high you go. The higher you go, the more levels you'll get. It's not the best for farming. But, yeah, it's kind of cool, anyway. I love how like these little propeller seeds are like put out on the map too. They're very cute. They're very adorable. The purple seed also makes its appearance too. And not only alongside the purple seed is the beige seed as well, which I believe got cut. Like I was led to believe got cut from the game after playing Duck Life 1 and 3 and not seeing it immediately in Duck Life 4 in the grassland. I'm glad it came back. You know what? And after saying all that, high B tier. High B tier. I'm not going to put it in A because there's some jank with the seed spawning pattern, and it can get a little bit dicey sometimes. But thankfully the bird's hitbox is very big. Yeah, I think it belongs in B tier. Let's talk about the next minigame. This one down here is called Reactions. You'll notice that it looks very similar to all the other flying minigames, which are here, right? Gonna be honest, I think this one goes in C tier. Very high C tier. The helper duck is a cool addition. It's kind of nice, but the duck moves incredibly fast. After like 2,000 meters or distance or whatever this value is measuring. There aren't like big warning symbols like down here. This is a later minigame, but these like these big danger symbols appear in all the other flying minigames, and that doesn't include Duck Life 1. Sorry, that's a lot of rambling. Let's abbreviate it. Let's be a little bit more brief with it. These danger signs appear in the flying minigames in Duck Life 2 and 3, so it's a little bit strange to not see them in Duck Life 4. Instead, you get this weird helper duck that moves along kind of fast. Very fast, actually, after 2,000 distance. But it's kind of cool. And instead of, like, these basic obstacles here, you actually have 4 different types of obstacles. You have short rocks that can appear on the top and bottom of the screen, and longer rocks that can appear on the bottom of the screen. Also, rocks that show up in the middle. In the top and bottom of the screen. Not the best flying minigame, obviously, but quite enjoyable. Alright, this one down here is called skill, I believe. Accuracy. This one's called Accuracy, and this one kicks ass. This one is so good. It belongs in S tier, absolutely. Very similar to this final minigame, this timing minigame down here in Duck Life 4. This one is a lot of fun once you figure out like the positions of where to fire the cannon. Not only is it super satisfying once you find out the position to fire the cannon, it's a lot of fun to try to figure out where to fire the cannon too. I think it belongs here. I love how like Duck Life 4 is just obliterating the previous games down here. Like, yeah, these games are good, but these games are better. Let's talk about what's next. Climbing. I'm pretty sure it's climbing. This mini game down here is called Climbing Speed, and this game is dysfunctional, non-functional. It's freaking broken. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to add a tier. I'm going to add the F tier. Because some of these games, like, blow ass and suck ass. Put very, 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 very kindly. This minigame, for some reason, does not work half the time. The way it works is basically an inverse of the speed minigame up here. Instead of going down, you're going up and you're climbing these ladders. Go left and right to move and press up to climb the ladder, which is pretty simple enough. But once you start to realize, like upon playing this, you'll realize that, at least when I played it, I started to realize that pressing up sometimes didn't let you climb the ladder, which is really weird. And you're thinking, well, if I'm pressing up, I should be able to climb the ladder anywhere I am on the screen, because that's what the minigame, that's how the minigame works. That's how it should work anyway. But upon testing, I realized that the screen needed to be scrolled like a certain point in order for the climbing to work. Which begs the question, in what kind of logic is there in that, you know? It's kind of stupid. It's very, very dumb. This is a very dumb minigame. I hate how it works, and it looks ugly too. There are two colors on screen, white and blue. Now granted, I talked about ugly minigames before, like up here in literally every single city minigame, but at least these were functional. This is not functional. F tier. Risk. This climbing minigame up here from Duck Life 4 is called Risk. And I think Risk is definitely A tier. Now where though? I think it goes here. Definitely better than all these other installments here. But Risk is completely new. You're basically going up, you're climbing up with the duck, and you have to assess whether you should go in like these hidey holes that spawn every now and then on the wall in order to dodge avalanches. It's basically how far do you want to, you know, risk your playthrough in order to get more levels. Once you figure it out, it's a lot of fun too. Another trial and error game here, in where I would argue that the trial and error process is way more fun than playing it with perfect knowledge, because, yeah, I don't know, just the little adrenaline rush. Yeah. The final climbing minigame here is this one here. It's just your traditional climbing minigame compared to these other two, but I think it does it a lot better. And you know what? Albeit, you know what, even if it's like white, all white, it looks better than all these other mini games down here, all these other traditional climbing mini games. So I think it belongs in C tier. Yeah. Let's talk about these final mini games here, these jumping mini games. You don't need to know what they're called because they all suck ass. 4 different reasons. They're actually gonna put this one above climbing. Yeah. This is the order. This is the order of all the climbing mini games. Sorry, not climbing. Jumping. These are jumping mini games. Now you might be thinking like, man, that's a little bit harsh to put all the jumping. You don't understand. You don't understand. At least all the games up here, from S to D, even if I don't like the D tier that much, at least all these were functional. These mini games. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to move one, make a little addendum to what I'm about to say. At least all of these games up here function just fine. These games do not. Actually, I'm going to move it back down. These games down here do not work, and I don't know why. These games just suck. They're terrible. The only enjoyable one somewhat is this one, but even then, the way the duck spins is just very frustrating. Now let's go through all them one by one. Yeah. I'm gonna move this here very briefly just to explain. So the way this minigame works up here, I guess I should tell you what they're called now. This one's called Endurance. Jumping Endurance. You move left and right and you can jump up and down, and there are blocks that fall from the sky. Pretty self-explanatory. It doesn't look that bad either. The only problem is that there's a visual glitch in this, in which once you get crushed by the block, for some reason it stays on your screen. which is fine, right? You'd think that there'd be like a way to somehow remove it. No, there actually isn't. During my playthrough in the second part of Duck Life 4, I tried everything I could to try to get rid of the blocks, and for whatever reason, they just would not, you know, go away. It's these stupid blocks. They're terrible. They suck. I hate them. This minigame too, this jumping minigame, this pogo one, it's called Balance. This minigame also just isn't fun at all. There's no enjoyment out of this. The idea is cool to put the duck on a pogo stick, but I haven't played a single video game that does pogo stick physics correctly. Or maybe it's just my hatred toward the pogo stick. Nonetheless, if any AAA game can't get the pogo stick correctly, Duck Life 4 can't either. And yeah, this one was just not enjoyable. Now this final minigame here, this jumping minigame called Skill, it's way better than these other two, don't get me wrong. Way better than these other three, actually. But the way the duck turns and the way the trampoline physics work is just super annoying, and I hate it. I'm just gonna say it outright. I hate it. It's not fun. In fact, none of these jumping minigames are fun. But at least the skill minigame is way better than these other two down here. So yeah. Real quick before I call things off, is there any changes I want to make? I don't really see any. Oh, let's look at this S tier here. What is the best Duck Life minigame ever? I think it's timing. I think it's the swimming. I think it's the swimming one. Not only does it take the least amount of time, which doesn't matter to me. Like how long the time goes, how long the minigame lasts doesn't really matter to me. But it's the particular quickness of this one that is really, really exciting to me. 2 key presses for one of the best Duck Life minigames ever. You press the button to hold it and the duck spins, and then you press it again at a certain time and the duck finally dives down. This game is just so satisfying. I have no words for it. I think, like, the same can be said with all these other ones up here. These other ones are phenomenal, but this one just does it the best. This one goes on forever. This one is also really brief, but it can get annoying sometimes. It can get pretty inconsistent. That's the thing, too. These top 2 games are very, very consistent. You can get really good at these really, really quickly. It's very cool. Granted, you can get consistent at this one too, but it takes a little bit longer than this one. It can be a little bit tedious. These Duck Life 3 minigames are the prime examples of the variations that you've seen and ideas established in Duck Life 1. This Duck Life 3 Evolution one for running does phenomenally. This flying one from Duck Life 3 also does phenomenally. It also looks really pretty too. As for A tier, these these Geometry Dash ducks, and I call them that because that's how they literally work. They work like the ship from Geometry Dash. These are a lot of fun. Yeah, all these minigames are all sorts of fun, albeit some of them are better than others. Making some quick changes here. Obviously, I think that Duck Life 1 has to go in A tier. At least the running minigame from Duck Life 1 has to go in A tier just because it set the foundation for something that would be perfected on later in the series. I don't like this running minigame too much. It's cool. It's a lot of fun from Duck Life 4, but I think there are some better examples up here. As for B tier, you know what? I'm trying to figure out like how to. Yeah, you know what? This is fine. This flying minigame is super unique. But I'm thinking about it now, the music was kind of annoying from this one. So, I'm gonna put it right here. Duck Life 3 is climbing, like, it's kind of mid. Okay, I'm gonna make a quick addendum here. I'm gonna switch these places right here. Boom. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that yet, but we'll leave it for now. Duck Life 2 swimming minigame, not as good as Duck Life 3, but it's still pretty good. Duck Life 1 also set the standard, albeit it was a little bit boring. It would be improved on later, I think I'm pretty comfortable with this being here. Duck Life 3 is this flying minigame from Duck Life 3 is also pretty good, but it's not the best. It would be improved on later, but it's still pretty good. I mean, like, not bad. This flying minigame from Duck Life 4 is also pretty fun, but it's a little bit janky. But I think it's more enjoyable than the flying minigame up here. And you know what? I think it does belong here. I'm gonna switch it back to where it was originally. This minigame does belong here. Duck Life 1, Duck Life 1 set the foundation, yada yada yada, but Duck Life 1's flying minigame was better than Duck Life 2 because Duck Life 2 was a really weird entry in the series. And then Duck Life 4 was flying, is right here. C tier, I don't think I'm going to make any changes to. This looks pretty good. D tier, I'm not going to make any changes to. This looks pretty good. And F tier, this also looks pretty good. So with all that being said, let's finally rank the Duck Life games. Now that I've looked at all the mini games, I think the worst game in this series has to be Duck Life 2. I mean, most of the mini games from Duck Life 2 are way lower in the tier, obviously. And it was kind of weird how there was a cap out system that was locked out by money. Yeah, it was a weird time for the Duck Life series. I think so. 4th place goes to Duck Life 2. I think for 3rd place, Duck Life 1 has to go into it. Not saying that Duck Life 1 is a bad game. Duck Life 1 is phenomenal. It started, basically laid the foundation. Take a shot every time I say the word foundation in this video. Basically laid the foundation for what was to come, right? For all of these mini games up here. And you know what? I'm pretty sure. Let's count. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, all of Duck Life 1's mini games are pretty high up in the tier. No complaints here. For what Duck Life 1 is worth, it's pretty good. Now Duck Life 3 Evolution just took the base ideas from Duck Life 1 and really improved them. You can see that through my fondness of Duck Life 3's mini games, up here. Some of them are in S tier, a lot of them are in A tier. Let's count really quick. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then all the other ones are down here because flying was improved on later. But yeah, a lot of Duck Life 3's best mini games are in the highest tier. So Duck Life 3 is pretty good. 2nd place goes to Duck Life 3. Nice work. And then finally, obviously, I said it from the start, I'm going to say it again, my favorite game in the series, the Duck Life series, has to be Duck Life 4. I mean, it is a phenomenal game that changes and innovates on a lot of the base ideas from the past 3 games, whilst adding its own. Heavy emphasis on, what did I just say? Develops and changes because some of the mini games just blow ass, but we don't talk about those. But yeah, I love the new additions to all the mini games. Running was completely reworked. Swimming was kind of reworked with new ideas, right? New ideas that I very much loved. Flying was pretty much overhauled too, albeit with some changes. Climbing wasn't really innovated too much, but jumping was a really weird addition to the game. But with all that being said, I think that, yeah, this is my tier list. A lot of Duck Life 4's mini games up here, obviously, but surprisingly, stuff from Duck Life 3. A game that I didn't really remember playing too much as a kid. So yeah, that is the definitive tier list. Duck Life 2 is the worst in the series, and Duck Life 4 is my favorite in the series. Yeah. I think it's best if we call, I was trying to say call and cut off at the same time. Yeah, I think it's best if we put this Duck Life thing to rest. I love the Duck Life series, and I'm so glad that I got the chance to replay it for this channel. With all that being said, here's my tier list, and those are my opinions on the game. I'll see you around.